Ah, yeah, we're back. The Dr. James McConnell Show with co-host Carla Murphy and Tremel Henry. Mr. Henry is on a little leave for a little while, and he'll be back momentarily. Miss Carla, how's your day today so far?
My day is going well, thank you. How's your day?
Oh man, another beautiful day on God's green earth, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Also, Miss Carla Murphy is has a show. It's called the Carla Murphy Show, and that's on the Dr. James McConnell. I'm sorry, the Dr. James TV network, and also on Uniquely Different TV network and other platforms and all of social media. How you like that, Miss Carla? How you like having your own show?
I love it. Thank you so much, Dr. James. Thank you for introducing me to the journey.
That's what I'm talking about. So I guess we're going to get into world news, one of our favorite topics. I know that you can't say yes to that sentiment, but we want to get into Zipline delivers COVID-19 vaccinations to Ghana. Tell us about that.
So I was reading an article on News for Kids editors,
Hmm.
and it talked about Zipline is a company which focuses on using drones to deliver medical supplies. I thought that was pretty unique, and they're currently delivering supplies regarding the coronavirus and vaccines to remote areas in Ghana. And soon the company is going to provide similar services in other countries as well. But drones are small aircraft that can be and they can be controlled from the ground. The way that this works is that the company actually began delivering medical supplies back in 2016 by using drones in Rwanda. And the
Hmm.
company's work began in Ghana in around 2019. They have many normal delivery methods, which they were stopped in those countries to limit the spread of the virus. But Zipline was a company that was able to still be able to produce and to serve, meaning they were able to deliver the supplies and to minimize the risk of spreading the the germs and spreading the virus. So not only did it deliver, it was unique because it would come close and then it would drop the supplies. So they really didn't have to come into contact with a lot of the people. And so they were able to deliver over 4,500 doses of the vaccine to different remote areas of Ghana. So I thought that was pretty impressive. And it's amazing what we can do. And so, that being said, I think that that's a method that could be utilized not only for medications, but it's an amazing source of delivery during this day and age.
Man, that is awesome. And I also heard that Zipline has delivered 11,000 vaccine doses in a matter of days. And
Wow.
that's something, isn't it?
It is. I had not heard that. That's amazing.
I wonder what what technical difficulties could the drones run into. I wonder. I mean, I'm assuming people are flying these drones, and I wonder, what could happen as far as a drone bringing that stuff. So like I just heard you say, they're like dropping it, right?
Well, yes, because the drones, they kind of hang in like a base station area and
Hmm.
they empty out the supplies there. And they fly without wings. So without wings or batteries. And I don't know. It seems like an amazing concept to me. I would actually like to see how that works. I know that I go to the park a lot and
Right.
I see people flying drones. However, I've never really seen anything attached to the drone. So I think I would like to see that.
So the drones. So I heard you say they didn't have wings, or they do have wings.
No, they don't have wings.
How does it fly? Kind of like a helicopter thing?
Now, I don't know. It's possible. It didn't really speak more specifically about that, but it just noted that it doesn't have wings.
Man,
So that
that is
that was interesting.
that is awesome. That's awesome. Well, I guess we're gonna switch gears and talk about another world news topic. Just a little while ago, we had a verdict of the officer Derek Chauvin. He was he was found guilty on all three charges. You know, one was second degree murder, unintentional, third degree murder, and manslaughter, which, from what I understand, carries a full 75-year sentence. Now, because he's a cop, he's not going to get 75 years. But from what I understand, for second degree murder, there's a minimum of 12 and a half. Uh, then the judge can add time. It depends on circumstances. And from what I understand, the prosecution is talking about, because there were kids there, kids watching him kill him, and because being exposed to kids and then being a public servant and doing this, that 12 could definitely go to 15 to 20. Um, the second degree, no, I'm sorry, the third degree is up to 25. I think the smallest amount there is 10 years. And I think the manslaughter is 10 years, and the smallest amount maybe 5. So if I had to guess my side of it, 12 and a half is probably going to go to 15 because of kids watching. The 25 will probably stay at 10, and the 10 would probably go to, go to 5. That's what I'm thinking. So 15 plus 15 is about 30. So if you say 30 years, most of the time you can get out half of that. So 15 years. Now, 15 years does not sound good enough to me for him to serve in prison for intentionally killing a person. They can, and he could say, and they can say this and that, but the police did come on the stand and say that they do not teach this technique, even though the defense said that this technique was taught. They have not. They have, like, cop after cop after cop have come on and said they do not teach that technique. And so bottom line is everybody was against him. Everybody was against what he did and all that good stuff. So I'm thinking he's going to get a total of 30. But again, 30 sounds like a lot, but it's going to be 15. Now, for him, 15 is still a lot because he's probably 40, around there, and he won't get out till he's at least 55 years old. So when you add the time, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, you can add up to 15 years in prison. That's a long time for, you know, for a cop. I think that may be the longest amount of time for a cop that ever get put in prison over something that did not fire his weapon. Because anytime a cop has went to jail, it's because he's fired a weapon or something like that. This would be the very first one that's ever went to prison for not firing his weapon. Obviously, he used his knee on that. So, what do you think about the verdict? And does that give you any feelings toward the way cops can sometimes treat you, or what happened in Mr. George Floyd's case?
I think that it was an unfortunate occurrence that happened in Mr. George Flood's case, and certainly my heart and prayers go out to the family. But my heart and prayers also go out to the family of that officer. I do not condone the conduct that he exhibited. However, um, it I don't really have a lot of words about it. I really didn't watch the case for a lot of reasons, because it kind of comes too close to home being a part of a law enforcement family.
Right.
And so I think about the fact that I don't know the whole story. I don't know both sides of the story. And there are two sides or more to every story, I should say. But that being said, I don't condone what the officer did at all, and a life is lost. However, I do want to make note of the fact that everyone wants their law enforcement relatives to come back home the way that they left. And so, should the officer be punished? Absolutely. However, I hope that there are lessons to be learned from this. I hope that people are to be strengthened as a result of this, and the consequence that the officer is facing. Hopefully, this will be preventative measures for others who may have looked up to him as a mentor, or others that he has led or has influence over. So I really can't say that I'm glad that this is happening. My heart does go out to both families because certainly a loss has been suffered, And yes, one loss is definitely greater, but a loss has been suffered throughout the course of this event.
So I do want to help you out on the point where you say about both sides. So I'm going to give you, because I did watch a lot of the trial and a lot of the information. So both sides of it. Um, the bottom line is the how this really worked is they went to a store where he might have gave a 20 counterfeit bill allegedly. Cops came, they talked to him, they thought he might have been high on something. From everything came out, he was on opioids, which he's done for his whole life. And so opioids can have you feeling a little high, but not like cocaine or something like that. And so anyway, that led to them trying to put him into the car. And then he's saying why, blah, blah, blah. And they end up putting him on the ground. And so by the time he was on the ground, he was already handcuffed. So again, uh, being, you say, in a law enforcement family, there was at least 12 cops that came on the stand and said that was wrong, incorrect. There is no one side to the other. Everything was the same. The defense couldn't say anything other than, well, he was on the ground, but he was a sizable guy. That's what he said. So the other police officers, I'm not even talking about people or even an attorney. The other police officers said, well, we teach when they're on the ground and in handcuffs, the threat is no longer there. There's no longer any threat if someone is laying on the ground. You got another cop on his legs, but he wasn't trying to push away. He wasn't trying to do anything. He was just laying there. All he said is, I can't breathe. And then one of the officers said, well, if you can say that, you can breathe. They told, and so then bystanders, the 9-year-old girl came, a 9-year-old girl pull up the camera, and they got to talking about, sir, he can't breathe. He said, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. He said it over and over. He didn't do any struggling. He's laying there. The man is deep on his neck. You could tell the man couldn't breathe. You had at least 4 or 5. You had a fireman, a lady, I'm sorry, EMT lady that walked up and said, sir, he can't breathe. Let me check his pulse. They would not let her check his pulse. Now, she was EMT. She was an official person that could check, so, because he kept saying, so sooner or later he stopped saying it and his eyes got bugged out. That's what one of the bystanders said, that he had eyes like a fish in a bag where his eyes was kind of big. And so, and I'm giving you this because you didn't hear both sides. So the defense did not say anything about that side of it. They tried to say it must have been the carbon monoxide in the tailpipe. But when all the experts came on, there was no amount of carbon monoxide in his lungs. So that means, obviously, when you're the defense, you want to make it seem like it's something else because you're trying to save him. So the key is that there was no carbon monoxide. So that was just something to say. I don't want to call it a lie, but it was a stretch just to try to see would it stick. So then from that point, they said, well, why did you put your knee on his neck for 9 minutes? Now, he'd never testified, but his attorney did. They was worried about him wanting to get up. Well, keep in mind, he was unconscious after 4 minutes and change. 4 minutes and change, he was already unconscious. That means, and I'm telling you what they said into the court of law, after 4 minutes and change, his eye was closed. He was totally unconscious. Well, they kept saying, man, the guy is unconscious. Well, did you know that a fire truck, maybe another EMT or ambulance came, and he kept his knee on his neck while he was unconscious. He kept it there for another 5 minutes and change, like he wanted to kill the guy. Now, he didn't say it, but if the guy is unconscious, unresponsive, sitting out there, eyes closed, not moving, not shaking, not doing anything, and then not only did the people in MT ambulance come and touch him one time, when he touched him, he stayed on there another 40 some seconds till another MT said, we got to get him. And they touched him again and he finally moved. Well, guess what they did? Now, this is prior to, I don't know if they knew that the girl recorded them or not, but the police department said this was a medical event. Had nothing to do with the police. I'm telling you what they read in court. And they showed it. They said this was a medical event. He was having a medical event while we put the handcuffs on him. And that's all they said. So some of CNN said, and some of the other people that was talking to the attorney said, imagine if we didn't have that 9-year-old girl's video. Now the other started recording too, but hers started from the beginning. Imagine if we don't have that. Imagine what the story would have been. It would have been, it was a medical event while we were putting on the handcuffs. Nothing about his knee, nothing about that. So, but because of the video, you had 12 jurors, right? I think it's 12 jurors on the deal. 12 jurors that all said it wasn't like one of them, because one of them could have caused him to be like kind of like a mistrial or something. All of them, and we're talking about mostly Caucasian people. We're not, I think it was one or two blacks on the thing. Everybody else was like, everybody said he was guilty. Some of them even cried when because they see, we don't get to see, or we never probably watched the whole video. They watched the whole video in its entirety. They watched this man go unconscious at 4 minutes and then get killed 5 minutes later. And I don't understand. But I found out that the cop knew him from a they said from a, what you call that place, from a club. And I think George Floyd was a bouncer or a security guard, and the cop was there, being a cop, but he was, and I think him and George Floyd got into arguments. I think they got into arguments there. So from what we found is when they saw each other on that day, the cop knew him. And from what they said, he had disdain for this man. So he never came out. Of course, he never come out and say, yeah, I want to kill him. Of course, he's not going to say that. But the actions showed that. So I wanted to just say that because I know that you don't watch a lot of this type of news, and I don't normally either, but because of what had happened and because of it being a cop, I wanted to see, was it going to be real, true justice? Was it going to really be real justice? Or was it going to be just another one of those, he's not indicted, and it's, every time they do it, it's, this kind of thing. And I normally don't pay attention, but I was shocked with the verdict, really. I thought he was going to get maybe third and the other, but not the second. When I heard he got the second, I'm like, what? I mean, not because he didn't deserve it, but I was shocked because they never do that to a cop. So I just thought I would just kind of tell you the whole thing because of the fact that you didn't hear the whole thing. I wanted you to hear the whole thing. Aren't you happy I told you the whole thing?
Thanks for enlightening all of us.
I figured you would like that. So I want to move into the business topic, and I know I spoke a little longer on that, but I wanted to fill you in on it. That's what this is all about, to be able to, world news should be information too, right? So I want to get into business. So Miss Carla, why small businesses fail?
Well, sometimes because people start business for the wrong reason. People should really ask themselves, is your primary reason for starting your own business the desire to make a lot of money? That's not really a good reason to start a business, although we do like to see profits. But some of the right reasons for starting a business are that you have to have a passion and love for what you'll be doing, and you have to strongly believe what it is that you are, the product or service. You have to believe in it so that it can be profitable for you in the marketplace. You have to drive, determination, patience, and have a positive attitude. When others throw in the towel, you have to still be determined and hang in there.
Right.
Remember, failures don't defeat you. You have to learn from your mistakes. And oftentimes people thrive on independence, and they want to have a take charge attitude. They want to be creative. They want to be intelligent. And it's important for them to understand that there are some strict constraints that must be followed in business. It's nice to follow your dream, but it's work. You definitely have to put work in to see results that come out. So sometimes people have poor management, insufficient capital, they have the wrong location, a lack of planning, or overexpansion. So it's important to know your purpose, to stay focused, to follow your dreams, and put the work in. And so I know in the Bible it talks about the Lord blessing the work of our hands, enlarging our territory, and increasing our coast. And so if you're going to be an entrepreneur, if you're going to have a small business, you have to put the work in and you have to be consistent. I know you like that word,
I
right,
love
Dr.
that word.
Jen?
I love that
You have to
word.
be consistent.
And
So
I
thank you for asking.
oh yeah, I love those answers. And actually, I'm going to touch on that right after this commercial break. After we hear from a motivational speaker that I like, his name is Eric Thomas, and we'll be back right after this.
You ain't no boss. You just bossy. You know, real boss, a real boss, they don't talk about their boss, but when the fire comes, they go in on the sneak tip and they go in and rescue stuff, pull stuff out. You hear what I'm saying? So I had to get out of my emotions, right? I was in my emotions and I had to go like, all right, leave that to C. C make all the decisions. All right, E, from now on, all you worry about is the experience. When people walk in, that's your job. When we get on the phone, make sure you're on the phone. Like, just make sure the experience, right? So here's what happened, eyes. When I realized I was an I was like, ooh, I got the wrong people on the phone. I got people answering phones, and I'm like, ooh, this wrong. Because what happens is they love ET. And when they call, they talking to a D, a S, or a C on the phone, and they're not getting the same experience. They weren't drawn to D's. They weren't drawn to S's or C's. They were drawn to the I. So I was like, yo, I need to get eyes. So when people call customer care, they get that same warm, fuzzy feeling they got when they were not. I can't be all things to all people, but I can hire eyes that anytime we have to deal with people, I can't have D's dealing with people. Because D's going to get the results, but we're going to lose the client. It's being real, because the D ain't going to worry about how it's being said. And now my client, like, I'm up out of here. So I would literally have clients who would call me like, yo, homegirl, she got to go. And they weren't saying she got to go because that she was incompetent. They were saying, I realized what they were saying was, she got to go because she's not you. I don't feel the same way when I talk to her that I feel when I talk to you. Now, she's a leader. I'm a shepherd. So if you're an I, write it down. You're a shepherd. You're not a leader in the sense of results, but you are a shepherd in that you get results through people.
If you're a software engineer,
Man, we are back. Wasn't that something? Carla Murphy, that was Eric Thomas, man. I mean, some of what he say can be totally motivating. What do you think about Eric Thomas, Miss Carla?
I like his motivational speak. I like his energy and I love his messages.
Absolutely, man. Eric Thomas, he is something. He's something. So
He's the real deal.
he's the real deal, Holyfield. So why businesses fail? I love exactly what you said, and I like to go just a little further. Businesses fail because they don't have the right determination. They're ready to quit after something happens or this or that. If they're typically when you're grown up and you have to normally work a job and do business kind of simultaneously. So sometimes the drive is no longer there. And so, it's just hard to move forward if you don't have the right mindset. So I think it's all about mindset too. So having said that, let's move into our next business topic, and that's franchising. Franchising, Ms. Carla. So franchising is some things that, I have thought about certain things in franchising. Like I remember years ago, I checked out Subway and the initial investment is $17,000 for one person. That's a steep price, but that's why a lot of times I build investors and partners and people that want to do stuff, because $17,000, imagine this, you have at least 8 people or 9 people wanting to do this, but now it's 2,000 a piece. And so some people will say, well, dog, 2,000 a piece, 8, 9 people, now we got to split 8, 9 ways. But you got to think about the big picture. So if 9 people get one Subway, then 9 more get a second, then 6 more get a third, then 4 more get a second, and then before you know it, you can get your own Subway. Because and you're a co-owner of all the other Subways, but it takes money to normally do things like this. And this is another way of not having to go and get loans or grants or anything like that. If you have investors with you or behind you, then you can pay your own money to acquire stuff like that.
Mhm.
You know, I've checked on other places like Williams Chicken. I've checked on other places that I'm still kind of checking on, and I'm kind of close to doing something with one within the next maybe year or two. And so franchising is I think another big way of getting in business if you're not starting from scratch like me or like you or like a lot of people that just does do certain things. Some people want a certain organization or a proven place. So if you go with Subway or a place like that, then it's going to make money. If you go to McDonald's, that fee is a lot. That fee is like I think $1 million, a couple of $1 million to get into McDonald's, but every month. Now, if I want to understand, a owner of that location will make about 200 to 300,000 per year. So you don't really make your money back for a few years. It takes you about 3 years to make your money back, but you own it from now on. So that's where investing comes from. You have to understand it's for the long haul. It's normally not going to pay you immediately the first day or first week. Some people, I want to make money now, then don't worry about that. So what do you think about franchising, Miss Carla?
I think that it is a very powerful concept. I believe that there's strength in unity, and so having partnership to help bear the load,
Hmm.
and so that everyone can move forward and get ahead and be successful. I think that it's a great um, thing to do. Is to partner and to build.
I love it. That sounds great. So we're going to get into also one of my favorite topics here, as far as segments, as we get into self-improvement and self-education. So I want to talk about winners outwork everyone. I remember Mark Cuban made that statement as well. He said, winners outwork everyone. He said when he's working almost 20 hours a day, he said most people can't do that. Most people stop after 8 hours or 12 hours. And they say, let's go do this or that, or let's go be with family, or let's go. But he said, if you're trying to build something great, um, you have to outwork everyone. And that's just about true. I mean, other entrepreneurs, I don't really keep up with but when you're dealing with regular people that just, let's say, have a job, or, they'll go to work and then they'll, when they kind of get off, they want to relax, or or they want to spend time with the kids, which is nothing wrong with that. But if you want a business, because I always notice that my day starts just about the same as theirs, and it's all day just like theirs. And when they get off work, it may be a little bit of the same. Maybe, take kids to practice, take kids here or there. It may be about the same, but then when it's time for them to eat and then it's over with, now it's time to relax and go to sleep. Most of the time, it's not time for me to relax, after that. It's time for me to keep going and keep working. And it ain't because I'm really thinking about I'm working more. I just do it because I need to get stuff done. And I think you now, for the last maybe couple months, I think you see what I mean, because I think you having to get things done, and it keeps you up late, especially you, because you have another regular job, and when you get off, you have to handle your business. And it's easy to say, well, I'm not going to do it today. I'm just gonna and you can do that, but the point is, if you do it too much, then you can't get stuff done. So I think you see the things it take to kind of get things done. What do you think about that, Miss Carla?
Dr. James, you're absolutely right. You do have to have your mind made up and be focused. You have to be planful. And that's how you can be purposeful and succeed. And so I am one who I am planful, and that's how I'm able to do a lot of the things that I do. And sometimes it does require late hours, and sometimes it does not.
Right.
It's an adjustment with giving up a lot of my weekend,
Right.
time to put towards handling business. But this is not my first rodeo, as people say, and
Right.
so I understand the commitment level that goes into building a business. But I believe in building business through sharing.
Sharing and caring, right?
That's right.
So let's get into this other self-education and all that good stuff. Students improving their reading skills. Talk to us about that.
So reading is very, very important. You really need to know how to read to do a lot of things with, and to do it with ease, I would say. So if you're going to do it, it's important to teach students how to highlight and underline valuable information as they read. It will help them if they can personalize the content, practice problem solving skills. It helps them to incorporate more of their senses. They also will understand more common things. It's always good to help students to set reading goals, to read in portions, and to let students guide their reading. So sometimes we may have our thoughts about what we want the students to read, but sometimes it's good for them to have a say in it because it will help to hold their interest. Now, I do often understand, even with working in Christian education, and when it comes to lessons such as Sunday school lessons, those are already predetermined.
Right.
And so if you're going to grow, you have to stay on track and you have to do it. But these are just some different tips that can help young people, particularly when they are reading, is to highlight and to underline and to place themselves in the story for what they're reading and to try to see how they can associate with it. And that's how they'll continue to grow and strengthen their reading skills.
That is awesome. And I do believe reading skills is very important. So I'm glad that you touched on that because reading skills is if you don't have that, you're gonna have a hard time, right, Miss Carla?
Hard time, yes. Will it be impossible for you to do some things? It won't be impossible, but it will be challenging.
Yeah, and we don't want challenging unless you're challenging is okay with something more harder, but as far as reading skills, you need to have that down like it's like maybe drinking water. So I think that topic that you brought up is so huge.
And I would say that there are a lot of resources in the community, regardless to your age. Don't let your age hinder you because there are adult learning centers, there are community organizations, there are tutorial programs that can help you. So I encourage everyone to learn how to read, and it will help you to succeed.
I love it. I love it. So, guys, thank you for tuning in to the Dr. James McConnell Show with co-host Carla Murphy. And for some of you guys that are watching this show, also tune in to the Carla Murphy Show on Dr. James TV Network. And hey, we're looking forward to seeing you again. And again, glorious day. Thank you guys for being here. God bless. See you later, Miss Carla.
Bye. See you later.